Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into the fascinating world of JavaScript timers. Have you ever wondered how you can delay the execution of a function or make it run at regular intervals? Well, this is your lucky day because in this video we'll demystify the setTimeout and setInterval functions, understand how they work and explore some other practical use cases. So let's jump right in. To begin, let's talk about setTimeout. This function allows you to schedule the execution of a function after a specified delay. So let's check one first example here. Let's just delete this first part, so it's better for us to work with this. And what we're going to do here, we're going to write setTimeout just like this. And basically setTimeout and setInterval requires basically two arguments. The first one is the function that will be executed, will be called, so it's a callback function. And the second argument is the time in milliseconds, so it can be, for test purposes, 2000 milliseconds. So whatever I put here inside will be triggered, will be executed after the first 2000 milliseconds. This first function can be written as an anonymous function or as well as an array function that I like the most. So if we put it like this, and inside of this block of code I put console.log and write any text here just for us to check, I can put it inside timeout. And before the timeout, I can put another console.log saying start. And I will do the same after the setTimeout. Putting end, just for us to check. The right order, just by checking here, would be, so let's first print start, then print inside timeout, and then print end. But we will check that doesn't happen like that, because start will be triggered immediately, console log also will be called immediately and will print immediately, but setTimeout is sent to a different place, is sent to the event queue, so it will print this message just after start and end. But let's check in the console in the browser. As we can see, after 2 seconds the setTimeout is printed as well. Let's refresh and see again. Start, end, and after 2 seconds that I set here, it prints for me inside timeout. This is the first example. Now let's move on and test setInterval. This nifty function lets you repeatedly execute a function at a given interval. So let's delete this previous code here. And now let's create a second example, but with something nicer, and that can appear here, for example. I will delete these, and let's create a new component here. Can be called time, and it's has the same syntax. I auto-completed here just for us to have it quicker. Here inside I can create like a state for it, so I make sure it will be re-rendering in the UI. So it's gonna be time, set time, just as it suggests to me here. It will use state, and just as this, exactly what I want. It will will store at first for us the formatted current date. And here inside, instead of time, I want to call it time, like this. So we are making sure we are using the variable and not the static text. Okay, if I put it like this, nothing will happen because I'm not using this component yet. But if I put it here inside our main application, we can use call time. And by doing this, we see the current time, and it's nice, the format is nice, but this is just the time the first initial time. It's not re-rendering, so we need to do something about it. If we refresh, we see that the date is refreshed every time, but we don't want to be refreshing manually. So it means we need to set time periodically. So to do this periodically, just before we render here, we're going to be calling setInterval. setInterval, just like this. And here inside it's the same as I said before, 2 arguments mainly. The first argument is an arrow function that will do something for us. The second part is the time. As it's a clock, I want to refresh it every 1000 milliseconds, so that's exactly the time I want. And here inside I want to be refreshing, so set time, set time, because it's our function from the use state, and it's the same as the initial state to get the current local time. So if we refresh now, we can see that our application works fine, works great, and is refreshing at every 1 second. But now if we want to make it just a little bit harder, let's create one small challenge here. Let's make it become a function instead of a function call, and this will be assigned to another function that can be called showtime. Okay, so I'm putting this function inside a variable, so it's not running. So if I save it just like this and refresh, I see that it doesn't re-render anymore, doesn't update, because this is not being called. Showtime becomes a new function now. What do I want to test with this? The setTimeout. So now if I jump a line here and set timeout, it means every given amount of time, it can be like 5000. Every 5 seconds, after 5 seconds, I want to run something. So that's exactly this function here that I want to run, show time. And by doing this, it means during the 5 first seconds, it will do nothing. So we can leave it as a text here. Time will run after 5 seconds. And after 5 seconds, it will run my function here. So let's test it and let's refresh. I see that I have my initial message here for 5 seconds, and after that, the showtime function starts to run and re-render for us and display correctly our time. And there you have it. The setTimeout and setInterval functions are indispensable tools in your JavaScript toolkit. They enable you to control the timing or function execution, opening up a new world of possibilities for creating coding, from animations to real-time updates and user interactions. These timers play a crucial role. So go ahead and experiment on your own with them and in your projects. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to give a thumbs up and subscribe for more exciting content. Happy coding!